So we're going through a Trinity College London grade piece for you today. Today's piece is called In Seine. So you can see the song title at the top of the page, in the middle there on the sheet music. And then to the left of the title, you've got waltz. So that's the song genre or the song style. So we're going to be playing a waltz today. Beside that, it says a quarter note equals 116. So that's the tempo of the piece. So you're going to be hearing this quarter note pulse and feeling this quarter note pulse as you play this. And there's going to be 116 of them quarter notes every minute. Okay, so we've got quite a fast tempo. You can see the letter A in a box there. That's a section box, just letting you know we'll be on section A at the start of the piece. So you can see in your first bar of music, we've got the percussion clef there, just letting you know it's drum notation on the stave. And beside that, we've got the time signature. So we're in 3/4 for this piece, obviously because we're playing a waltz. The top number being 3 means there's 3 beats in each bar, okay? So we've got 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And the bottom number being 4 tells us each one of those beats is a quarter note. Okay, so we've got 3 quarter note beats in each bar. So first bar of music, we've got quarter notes on the ride cymbal with the right hand. So we've got 1, 2, 3 with this right hand. So the right hand's playing that quarter note subdivision on the ride cymbal, and then bass drum, snare are playing 1, 2, 3. So we've got bass, snare, snare, bass, snare, snare. So a typical waltz groove. Okay, so we're going to put those 2 rhythms together. Beneath the bar, you can see the song, well, the dynamic for this bar is MP, which is short for mezzo piano, half soft. Okay, so we're going to be playing this quite soft, below our kind of normal playing level. So you've got to remember, with waltz, we're supporting a band that's obviously playing a song for a dance. Okay, so we're just some nice support here. We don't want to be really hitting those drums and standing out. We just want to be really kind of sitting quite low in the mix and just kind of keeping the rhythm going. Okay, so we're going to try bar 1 first of all, and we're going to try 8 times through to get a hold of that groove, just hitting those quarter notes at mezzo piano. And now we move to bar 2. So in bar 2, we've got this same quarter note rhythm on the ride cymbal with the right hand. We've got a bass drum on 1, but then our snare drum is now playing the and of 2, so the upbeat of 2, and also the 3. Okay, so the only note that's changed from this bar, from the last bar, is that snare drum on 2, moving to the end of 2, that upbeat. So obviously, because the right hand's playing quarter notes on each downbeat, that's going to go in the middle of 2 quarter notes. Okay, so you've got this with the hands. Okay, so you want to get that down first, just to get that coordination with the hands. Okay, so obviously that left hand playing right in the middle of the 2 and the 3 there, so on the end of 2. Okay, and then it's also playing the 3 as well. All right, so get that down first of all, and then we've got the bass drum on the 1. Okay, just hitting the start of the bar. So let's try bar 2 now, and we'll try 8 times through as well. And now we'll try bar 1 and bar 2, okay? So those bars back to back. So we kind of got a 2-bar groove there. We're hitting the downbeats on the snare drum in the first bar, the 2 and the 3, and then we're hitting the and of 2 and the 3 in the second bar. So you've got that nice change up, okay, between the 2 bars. So let's try bars 1 and bar 2, and we'll try 8 times through again just to get a real hold of that 2-bar groove. And remember, we're at mezzo piano, half soft. So you can see the next 2 bars in line 1, bars 3 and 4, are the same as bars 1 and 2. Okay, so for that top line of the piece, we're just playing that 2-bar groove twice. So if we look at line 2, so we come to bar 5, so you can see we're number 5 there beside the first bar of line 2. We've got a change up here, so we're playing a ride cymbal on the 1, and then we've got a rest on 2, and another ride cymbal for a quarter note on the 3. Okay, so we've got 1, rest, 3 with the right hand on the ride cymbal. And the bass and snare rhythm now is playing quarter notes, but we've got a bass drum on the 1, snare drum on the 2, bass drum on the 3. Okay, so together those rhythms, you're playing ride and bass drum together on the 1, snare drum on its own on the 2, ride and bass drum on the 3. Okay, so let's just try that bar, right? So bar 5, the first bar of line 2, and we're still at mezzo piano. Okay, so let's try bar 5 now. And in the next bar, in bar 6, we play the same as what we just played in bar 5. Okay, so we've got that same bar. Bar 7, which is the third bar of line 2, we've got the same bar that we played in the previous line in bars 1 and 3. So if we look at the final bar in line 2, which is bar 8, we've got a little quarter note fill there, and we're going from a low pitch tom, so the low tom here, the floor tom on the 1 for a quarter note, then we go to the mid tom, so we're going slightly higher in pitch for the 2 for a quarter note, and then we come to the high tom or the small tom on the 3 for a quarter note. Okay, so we're going to play that all with the right hand, just moving around those drums from right to left. Okay, so we're on the low pitch to mid pitch to high pitched. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, just hitting those quarter notes. Okay, so let's try that fill now. We'll try it for 4 bars, that one. Just get a hold of hitting those quarter notes right on the downbeats for a whole bar, and just making sure we're going round from the low pitch to the high pitch. So low, mid, high, hitting the middle of those drums on the downbeats. So now we'll try the previous bar as well, so bar 7 where we're hitting those quarter notes on the ride, bass drum on 1, snare drum on 2 and 3. Okay, that same groove we played in line 1, and we're also going to play that fill in bar 8. Okay, so we're going to play bar 7 and 8, 1 bar of the groove straight into 1 bar of the quarter note fill. So we've got quarter notes for both bars, just make sure you're hitting those downbeats and just you're comfortable going from the groove to the fill. Okay, remember for the fill, just using that right hand going from right to left round the tops. Okay, so let's try those 2 bars. So now we'll try the whole of line 2. Okay, so bars 5 to bar 8, and remember we're at mezzo piano, so we just want to make sure we can go fluently from one bar to the next. Okay, so we've got that nice transition through each bar of the second line. And looking at line 3, so you can see first bar of line 3, which is bar 9 of the piece, we've got a crash cymbal for a quarter note on the 1, and above the note we've got an accent. So we need to hit that note with more emphasis, more force, okay? Now obviously because you're at mezzo piano, we don't want to hit that too loud, otherwise it's really going to stand out. So we just need to hit it with a little bit more force, so it's louder than the other notes, but just not crazy loud, okay? So we're going to hit a crash on the 1 there. And for the rest of the line, you can see we're playing the same thing that we played in line 1. Okay, so we're coming back to that 2-bar groove. So only difference is that crash on the 1 of line 3. Okay, so we're going to try the whole of line 3 now, just adding that accented crash on the 1, just so you can see how hard to hit it, and then we'll play through the rest of line 3. Okay, so let's try line 3 now. In time with the metronome, and remember we're at mezzo piano. And then coming into line 4, so the first 2 bars of line 4 are the same as the first 2 bars of line 2. Okay, so if we look at the third bar of that line, so bar 3 of line 4, you've got a crash symbol for a dotted half note. So that's going to last 3 beats, which is the whole bar, because we're obviously in 3/4. And you can see again we've got an accent above the crash, which means we need to hit that with more emphasis. So we just hit it with a bit more force so it stands out. Then the other rhythm in that bar, the bottom rhythm, on the bass drum, we're just playing a quarter note on the 1 with the crash, and we're resting for a quarter note on 2 and 3. Okay, so for that bar, we're just playing a crash, an accented crash with the bass drum. Okay, so coming into the next bar, which is the last bar of line 4, bar 16 of the piece, we've got another 1 bar fill. So we've got a quarter note on 1, eighth notes on 2, and a quarter note on 3. So the rhythm of that fill is 1, 2, and 3. Okay, we've got a quarter note on the 1, on the high tom, eighth notes on the 2, on the mid tom, so we're going to play right, left there, so right on the high tom, right, left on the mid tom, and then we've got a quarter note on the 3 on the floor tom, which we'll play with a right hand. So you've got right, right, left, right, going round the kit from high to low on the toms. Okay, so let's try that bar now. Beneath the bar, you can see we've got a crescendo, so we need to get louder as we play this bar. So you're going to start at mezzo piano, which is where we're at anyway, and you're going to get louder as you play those notes. And then in the next line, you can see we go to mezzo forte. So it's not a huge jump. It's not a big crescendo. We're just going from mezzo piano to mezzo forte. Okay, so you're just gonna raise the dynamic a little bit through this bar. So let's try that fill bar now. We'll loop it through, just getting used to the rhythm and also putting the crescendo in. And now we'll try bars 15 and 16, so bars 3 and 4 of line 4. So just hitting that crash and bass drum on the 1 of bar 15, and make sure you're hitting it as an accent. Okay, so we've got some more emphasis on that crash cymbal, and then going into that fill. Okay, so just going to put those 2 bars together just to get a hang of the rhythm, and then obviously getting into that crescendo again in the fill bar. Okay, so let's try bars 15 and 16. And now we'll try the whole of line 4. So you've got that ride and bass, snare drum, ride and bass for quarter notes in bar 1 and 2 of the line. Then you're hitting that crash and bass drum on the 1 of the third bar of that line, and then we've got that 1 bar fill with the crescendo. So let's put the whole of line 4 together. And that brings us to the end of section A, the first section of the song. Okay, so we're going to put all 4 of them lines together. So we're going to go from line 1 all the way through to the end of line 4, bar 1 to bar 16. So just putting it all together, make sure we can transition from line to line comfortably. Okay, so you've got the main groove in the top line, then we come to a slight change up in the next line with the quarter note fill at the end of line 2. We're back to the main groove, starting with a crash in line 3, and then we're coming back to that change up in line 4, ending with another fill. Okay, so we've got a nice clear structure there. So let's try the whole of section A. And now we'll try section A with the backing tracks. We're going to play it with the music. So you can see for the counting, we've got 3 quarter notes for the first bar and another 3 quarter notes in the second bar. So the counting is 2 bars of quarter notes. We've got 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Then we come in. Okay, now with the backing track, some of the band come in the second bar of the counting. Okay, so when you hear the other instruments play in that second bar of the counting, make sure that doesn't force you to come in. Okay, don't think you've counted wrong or there's only 1 bar. You let the other musicians play in that bar, and then you come in after 2 bars of counting. Okay, so just to warn you about that. And also remember, you're playing a waltz, okay? So you're playing a band that's playing for a dance. So just make sure you're not playing too loud, you're not really standing out. Make sure you sit nicely in the mix, you're supporting the other musicians, and you're giving the dance a nice 3/4 feel, okay? You're really sort of putting that across in your playing. Okay, so let's try section A now in time with the backing track. So now we come into line 5 of the piece, which is the start of section B. So you can see we've got the letter B in a box there at the start of line 5, letting you know it's section B. So we're at bar 17. So you can see the number 17 there beside that bar, just letting you know it's bar 17. So we've got another groove in this bar. We've still got quarter notes with the right hand on the ride cymbal. We've got a bass drum on the 1. So we'll put those together first of all. So we got 1, 2, 3. Okay, so nothing new there. That's something we've done in the previous section. So what we're adding now on the 2 is a hi-hat with a foot. Okay, so a stepped hi-hat or a pedaled hi-hat. So now this groove adds a bit more independence because we're using that left foot. Okay, so another limb there coming in. Now obviously the left foot's used as a timekeeper quite a lot, so like a constant rhythm. But in this case, we're using it as a note within the groove. Okay, so it gives like a nice kind of backbeat kind of effect. Alright, so we're going to step that on the 2. So we got 1, 2, 3. Okay, so you just need to get used to that, stepping on that pedal on the second quarter note. So we've put those together, so bass drum and hi-hat with foot now. So bass drum on 1, hi-hat with foot on 2. We've got... Okay, so we want to get that down first of all, and then we're going to bring in the snare drum on the 3. Okay, so once you've got used to those feet working the groove, bring in that snare drum with the left hand on the 3rd beat. So you've got bass drum on the 1, hi-hat with foot on the 2, snare drum on the 3, and obviously you've got those constant quarter notes on the ride cymbal. Okay, so let's put those together. So to hear the first bar of section B, and beneath the bar you've got MF, which is short for mezzo forte. So we're at half loud. Okay, so we've come up in dynamic. So this is about your normal playing level, but remember we're playing a waltz, so it's not, don't go too loud, okay? Just nice and not too loud, but not as quiet as section A, which is mezzo piano. Okay, so let's try this groove now in time with the metronome, and we'll try 8 times through again. And in the next bar, we've got the same bar that we played in the previous section. So bar 2 of the piece, where we're playing that 8th note on the snare drum on the upbeat, and then hitting that downbeat on 3. So we've got no hi-hat with the left foot in the next bar of the groove. Okay, so we're going to put those 2 bars together now. So bars 17 and 18. So we got the bar where we've got hi-hat with foot on the 2, and then we've got a bar where we haven't got any hi-hat with foot. Okay, so you need to get used to that. Often that left foot is so used to keeping time that we play it constantly. So we might hit that 2 in the second bar as well. That might feel natural to do. So we just need to make sure we switch off that left foot in the second bar. Okay, so it's quite tricky to play these 2 bars. So let's try bar 17 and 18 now. then looking at bars 3 and 4 of line 5, you can see we're playing that same 2-bar groove again. Okay, so for line 5, we're just playing that 2-bar groove twice. And then coming into the next line of the piece, line 6, for the first 2 bars of line 6, we're playing that 2-bar groove again. Okay, so you've got that 2-bar groove 3 times there from the start of section B. So looking at the 3rd bar of line 6, which is bar 23 of the piece, we've got a change up here. So we've got a ride cymbal for a quarter note on 1, snare drum for a quarter note on 2, snare drum for a quarter note on 3. Okay, so you're playing right, left, left for quarter notes. So we got 1, 2, 3. Okay, so you want to get that down first, get comfortable with that hand pattern, and then we've got a foot pattern underneath. So we've got a bass drum for a quarter note on the 1, hi-hat with foot for a quarter note on 2, hi-hat with foot for a quarter note on 3. So you've got right, left, left with your feet as well. Okay, so let's try that now. So we've got 1, 2, 3. Okay, so let's try put those 2 rhythms together. So right with the hand, right with the foot, left with the hand, left with the foot, left with the hand, left with the foot. Okay, so you're playing right side of the body, left side of the body, left side of the body. Okay, so hands are playing the same rhythm as the feet. So let's put those together so you really hear that 3/4 feel for this bar. So let's try bar 23 now. And remember you're at mezzo forte. And in the final bar of line 6, we've got the same quarter note fill that we played at the end of line 2. So we've just got those quarter notes going from low pitched tom to high pitched tom. So quarter note on the 1 on the low tom, quarter note on 2 on the mid tom, quarter note on 3 on the high tom. Okay, going around with the right hand again. So let's try bars 23 and 24 back to back. We'll loop those through just to make sure you can play that, the groove there, the 1, 2, 3, right, left, left, and then going into that quarter note fill, transitioning into that. Okay, so let's try bars 23 and 24. And now we'll try the whole of line 6. So you've got that 2-bar groove where we've got that left foot, that step left foot, or that pedal left foot in the first bar of the groove, and then obviously there's no hi-hat with foot in the second bar. So that 2-bar groove. Then we come into that change up where we're playing right, left, left with both the hands and feet. Then we've got a quarter note fill. Okay, so quite a bit going on in this line. So let's try the whole of line 6. And in the 3rd line of section B, which is line 7 of the piece, so bars 25, 26, 27 and 28, you're playing the same thing we played in line 1 of section B. So you've got that 2-bar groove played twice. So if we come into the final line of the piece, so at bar 29, we've got another quarter note groove. So we've got quarter notes on the right cymbal again with the right hand. We've got a bass drum on the 1, snare drum on 2 and 3 like we played already. But now with the snare drum, we're playing that pedaled hi-hat, that stepped hi-hat again. Okay, so practice hitting those 2 parts of the kit together, the snare and hi-hat with foot. We've got... Okay, so that hi-hat wants to be closing right on that snare drum when you hit that snare drum. Okay, then once you got that, you want to put it in with the groove. So remember, both snare drums, you've got the hi-hat with foot. So let's try bar 29 now. And you're playing that groove again in bar 2 of the final line, so you're playing that groove twice. So looking at bar 3 of the final line, we've got a quarter note on the ride cymbal and bass drum, so we're playing that in unison. And then we've got 8th note fill, okay? So we've got 2 and 3 and. eighth note fill on the second and third beat of the bar. So we're playing single strokes, broken single strokes around the kit. So we've got snare drum on the 2, high tom on and a 2, mid tom on 3, low tom on and a 3. Okay, so like I said, you're playing single strokes, right, left, right, left. So make sure you're moving your body around as you go around the kit, just to help you with those final 2 hits. Because obviously, if you stay stationary with your body, it's easy to kind of hit your stick or your arm or anything. So make sure you move around as you play these notes. Okay, so let's try bar 31 now, the third bar of the last line, just getting used to that quarter note right and bass and that eighth note single stroke fill. And you can see in the final bar of the piece, you can see it's the final bar because we've got that final bar line there. We've just got a crash cymbal for a dotted half note which lasts the whole bar, so all 3 beats with a bass drum, okay? And you can see again we've got an accent above that crash. You hit it with some emphasis, a bit more force on it. Okay, obviously we're at mezzo forte, so you can hit this accented crash a little bit louder than the accented crashes in section A, but again we don't want to be hitting it too loud. It's just that nice kind of finish on the 1. Okay, so we're going to try the whole of the final line of the piece now. So you've got that 2-bar groove where we've got that independence because we're playing that left foot in that 2-bar groove. And then we've got that 2-beat fill in bar 3 of the final line. And we finish with the final bar with a crash, okay, that accented crash. Let's try the whole of the final line. So now we'll try the whole of section B, so lines 5, 6, 7 and 8, so from bar 17 to bar 32, okay, which is the end of the piece. So we'll try and put that all together now. So in this section we're at mezzo forte, so the dynamic has risen, and we've also got that left foot, so a bit more independence in this section, okay. So it's a tricky section, so make sure all those lines are sounding nice and smooth and they're feeling smooth, and then we want to put it all together. So let's try the whole of section B. And now we'll try section B with a backing track. Okay, so because we're at mezzo forte, the energy's risen again, but you need to remember we're still playing a band that's supporting a dance. Okay, so we don't want to be playing too loud. We really want to be complementing the feel of the music. Okay, and make sure you're sitting it in the mix nicely. Okay, so you're not too loud, you're not too quiet, you're not louder than other people, you're not quieter than other people. You're really supporting the rhythm of the band. Okay, so let's try section B now in time with the backing track. And now we're going to try the whole piece, okay, so section A and section B, just making sure we can transition through each line and both sections. Okay, so remember in section A, you're at mezzo piano, you've got 3-way coordination for your groove, so right hand, left hand and right foot. We've got a couple of fills in section A. The second fill, you're obviously playing a crescendo at the end of section A into section B. And in section B, you're raising the dynamic to mezzo forte, so half loud, and we're bringing in that left foot in section B as well. Okay, so let's see if we can put both sections together, and we're just transitioning so it feels smooth and sounds smooth. And now we're going to play the whole piece with the backing track. Okay, so remember, you've got a 2-bar count-in. Some of the band come in on that second bar of the count-in. Just make sure you don't, okay? You hear those 2 bars and then you're in. Okay, you come in at mezzo piano, so we're nice and soft. We're at half soft, okay? Remember, we're supporting a dance. Okay, so everything's nice and soft. We've got that crescendo at the end of section A. We come in section B at mezzo forte, so a bit more energy in the second section, and then nice finish with that fill and crash. Okay, so remember, you're in a band supporting a waltz dance. Let's try it with a backing track. So remember, we practice through the parts at song tempo, which is 116 beats per minute. So it's quite a fast tempo, okay? So I don't expect you to play these parts at that tempo straight away. Start at a comfortable tempo for you, so bring the tempo down. Make sure you're feeling comfortable as you play the parts. Get used to them. As you get more and more used to them, bump up the tempo until you reach that song tempo, okay? Once you're there, that's when you want to start putting it together and playing it with the music. Remember, don't rush. It's all about developing you as a drummer, a good sounding drummer, a good musician that people want to play with. Okay, so you want to develop that sound by practicing at comfortable tempos, okay, not rushing yourself and sounding rushed, okay? Remember, this isn't a race to get to higher grades in the quickest amount of time. It's about developing you, developing your sound.